the game as he had intended Quake to be, Romero wrote a story that involved time traveling between 4 different time periods and wrote up a design document that called for 24 levels, 35 weapons, and 64 different enemy types. Game! I don't get it! I also don't get why the creator of the original ultra-violent first-person shooters was paying tribute to the creator of Mario. That'd be like if Bugs Bunny was in Mortal Kombat. Anyway, Hero lives in a shithole dystopian future ruled over by the Mishima Corporation. Hero gets visited by some old guy who says, and I'm summarizing because so much of the story is pointlessly overcomplicated, the Mishima took over the world by altering history with a magic sword called the Daikatana, and it's Hero's destiny to steal back the Daikatana, fix history, and save the world. Hero wisely decides not to go take on the evil mega corporation because a senile old fart walked up to him babbling about a magic sword, until the old guy pulls out a hologram of his smoking hot daughter with a huge rack, who's been captured trying to steal back the Daikatana. Then Hero decides maybe saving the world wouldn't be so bad. It looks like Hero wants to motorboat that hologram. By the way, this opening cutscene is 11 minutes long. It's like around and break your legs if you want to cross the room. An enemy shoot at you from 3 different directions while you're on the elevator in the random bottomless trap holes at the level. And of course the levels don't have any checkpoints and you have to start over every time you die. I also hated the room where you have to extend a bridge and the bridge kept retracting before I could get to it, until I found out that, much like Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, the game gives you the option of restricting your motion to a leisurely stroll instead of running. Also, much like Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, there's no point to ever using the walking speed. The only time you'll ever walk is when you need to go along some narrow catwalks above a bottomless pit, and one slight mistake on the control stick and you die. Your weapons are lousy too. They deal great damage, but they all have annoying caveats. Did you ever see the first Men in Black movie where Will Smith's gun has so much recoil that it sends him flying back several feet every time he fires it? You get 3 new guns in the second level, and all of them do that. Sent me flying off an elevator to my death. The first weapon you find, the Ion Blaster, its shots ricochet Final Fantasy 13, so maybe Romero was just 12 years ahead of the curve when he invented the role-playing game that has no role-playing. And you really only have the game's word that you're getting stronger, because no matter how much your stats increase, you'll notice no difference whatsoever in how you play. At the end of level 2, you are joined in your quest by a fine African-American gentleman named Superfly Johnson. Are you serious? Superfly Johnson. That doesn't even sound real. That sounds like a name the Simpsons would make up for a basketball player. Still, I guess it is a better tough guy name than Cypher Rage. In stark contrast to the previous level, level 3 has no major hazards and has fewer enemies. I guess they got all the bullshit out of their system in level 2. So instead of being frustrating, this level is dull. At the end of the level, Mikiko joins you on your quest and you head off to steal the Daikatana, and the next level is a maze. A giant, tedious, but ultimately very simple maze. I suppose now is a good time to address enough crap since there's no technology. Maybe you'd have to make do with a bow and arrow or a broadsword or something, taking advantage of the game's time-traveling story. Nope! As soon as you enter ancient Greece, you find Poseidon's trident. You find the weapon that a Greek god uses to command the seas just lying around on the ground. And later you find what I can only assume is Hades' pitchfork because it can immediately poison and one-hit kill any enemy. The weapons I'm finding in ancient Greece are better than the weapons I found in the distant future. At least these weapons don't send me flying across the room when I fire them. And by the way, you can't find any ammo for your first 6 weapons after you complete the first chapter, so all of those weapons are basically useless after the first portion of the game. So why the hell are those 6 weapons that are out of ammo and completely useless still in my inventory so that there's more shit to cycle through every time I want to switch weapons? In addition to running out of ammo, the game is specifically programmed so weapons barely do squat against enemies from other time periods. You could enter in the one vague clue that the game gives you. This level also has a grand total of 8 enemies in it, just to tell you the quality of the design of this game. Also, to get through the gate that leads to the next level, you need to find a key, which the priest hid in a cellar, then forgot how to get inside the cellar, and the cellar beneath the temple is full of lava and monsters. Explain how anything I just said makes sense. It's a good thing the lava damages you instead of killing you, because this game's jumping controls are ass. The weapons that you find in the medieval stages are a crossbow, some Freddy Krueger claws, a crossbow that fires Rambo dynamite arrows, and some magic doohickeys that are variations on the rocket launcher. Except I never used them. See, in Greece you find a weapon called the hammer that never runs out of ammo, can be charged so that it's a one-hit kill on any enemy, and since the dumbass AI gets as close to you as possible before attacking, you will have plenty of opportunity to use it. Also, the dynamite arrows and the regular arrows deal the exact same amount of damage. What kind of sense does that make? I mean, which arrow do you think inflicts more damage? Here, he automatically one-hit kills you, and he has some kind of vacuum-like attack that sucks you onto the bottom floor that he does not telegraph. Why am I even fighting this guy? Is he working for the Necromancer? What is going on? Did the explanation for why I'm fighting this guy get cut from the Nintendo 64 port? Seriously! Who the f*** is Widrax? The next level is Nari's Castle, and Nari is a much easier boss fight than Widrax because Nari has the helpful tendency to sit completely still while you stick arrows up his ass. Nari also spawns booboids, those monitor things that spit the plague at you, but the booboids are dumb, and if you stand right behind Nari, the booboids will just walk straight into Nari and never get close to you because they'll never get around him. Brilliant! And just to prove my point about Romero's concern with impressing you, the last 3 medieval levels are castles. All of them. One of the weapons that you find is foolproof! Also, how come when you kill the Medusa, the Daikatana has enough power to time jump once and do nothing else, but when King Crazy here recharges the sword, you can time jump and summon a dragon of pure energy? Seems like that would use a lot more power. This sword has no rules, it runs on plot convenience. Also, the Mishima tells you that one of your allies is a traitor, and it doesn't matter who it is because either way it'll make no sense and I'll be able to bitch about it. You time jump to the year 2030 in Alcatraz, where the world is mid-apocalypse and society as a whole is collapsing. Apparently Los Angeles was completely run over by gangs and the military came in and declared martial law. Hiro determines that this must be the Mishima beginning his campaign to take over the world. 1. One American city has somehow been overrun by gangs. That doesn't mean the whole world is coming to an end. 2. Hero, have you not seen The Dark Knight Rises? If civilization collapses and gangs take over, the military coming in to bring order to the chaos is what's supposed to happen, since Batman's stuck in unspecifiedistan. You load with nothing except for the Disruptor Glove. Yeah, you're pretty much screwed if that happens. I think that this level is poorly designed on purpose to be cheap and hard because this is the last level of the game before the final boss fights, and we can't just have you breezing through it, now can we? We have to throw in a booby trap or two so that it takes you at least 3 tries to win. Once you get to the end of the level, you finally encounter the Mishima, who knocks out Mikiko and Superfly, declares that he doesn't care if the Daikatanas connect and the entire time-space continuum collapses, and he starts attacking you. Also, the ghost of Usagi enters Hiro's body, giving him complete control over the Daikatana. Do you have any idea how much shorter this game would be if Usagi had just done that in the first place? They could have killed the Mishima when they first got the sword! The next level is you duking it out with the Mishima with the Daikatana as your only selectable weapon. Now, you'd think that since you both have Daikatanas and your Daikatana has been shown as being capable to summon about her ancestors and their honor. They've been dead for over 2,000 years by Mikiko's time. I mean, if you found out that people you were related to that have been dead for thousands of years were homicidal maniacs that lost their honor because someone took a sword from them, would you be so pissed off as to plot to take over the world, take on a megalomaniacal dictator, alter the entire course of history, betray all of your friends, and risk life and limb on a nearly impossible quest through time? Why does Mikiko care about this shit? She's fought side by side with Hiro and Superfly through an adventure beyond your wildest dreams. They risked their lives to carry you through medieval Europe when you are dying of Black Plague, and you're going to betray them for the honor of barbarians from the distant past? You are made of stupid! So the for real's final level of the game has you fighting Mikiko, who now has the Daikatana. You're probably thinking that since Mikiko has the Daikatana and through the magic of Deus Ex Machina you don't, she can summon Magic Dragon. With the Joker is fantastic, not only because of Troy Baker's wonderful voice acting, but also because of the writing. There's been more than one scene of the game that I later went to YouTube so that I could watch it again. Another thing that I like about the story is that it really emphasizes what a shithole Gotham is without Batman. There's a, quite frankly, ludicrous number of thugs on the street, and the cops are so corrupt that you can see them beating up homeless people for laughs, running protection for many of the random crimes that you stop, and SWAT causes a prison break that causes other cops to get killed because they think it'll discredit Gordon and get a more corrupt officer in the job of commissioner. The gameplay is pretty much the same as the other Arkham games, which is to say, really good. It feels like Arkham Origins is trying to correct a few of the mistakes that the other Arkham games have made. To try and force you to rely less on your detective vision, there are a lot more enemies and objects that jam it, but the big thing that Origins tries to bring to the table that the other games didn't have is boss fights. I think we can all agree that the other Arkham games, as great as they are, don't have much in the way of boss battles. In this game, Anarchy is an anarchist, and he's got a channel that you can listen to on the cryptographic sequencer, and you can find anarchy tags throughout the city, which basically act as intel to tell you about Gotham City. His dialogue is written so well. It sounds like something you'd hear from a revolutionary leader or something, and it's honestly scary how much sense his lectures make. One of these days I'm going to turn on the cryptographic sequencer and just listen until the game runs out of stuff for him to say. Not to mention the intel you get for scanning his tags give you a lot of insight into just how screwed up Gotham City is. The game doesn't tell you where the anarchy tags are, which is good because it forces you to actually explore, but it's also a pain that you have no idea where you need to go to get them to get 100% completion. However, as good as Arkham Origins is, I don't think it's as good as Arkham City. It's probably the weakest entry in the series so far, and not just because of this scattershot story. I want to clarify something before I proceed here. I consider Arkham Asylum and Arkham City to be two of the best games that I've ever played. I don't have a single nader, which is basically a more powerful but less useful version of the smoke bomb. The remote claw, when fully upgraded, basically lets you shoot an enemy and immediately take him down in a predator encounter. It's so broken! The beautiful thing about the other gadgets in the Arkham games is that each gadget has a ton of uses if you get a little creative. The concussion detonator, you throw it and it stuns nearby enemies. That's it. In other words, it does what the smoke bomb does, except the smoke bomb has tactical uses that the concussion detonator does not. And I can appreciate a few callbacks to the previous games, but Origins references to Arkham City just get distracting. They have the Joker basically repeat his "it's not even breakfast" line from the end of Arkham City, and the Joker sings a love song over the credits. Because subtlety is for shit. Pretty much every group of enemies you fight, even before you get to the New Game Plus mode, is absolutely full of special enemies. Goons with knives, goons with guns, the new martial artist enemies, and goons with armor. I can appreciate them trying to make the version of a gadget that's only a prototype several years later. And the obvious answer is, exploration would be a pain in the ass without it. Do you want to have fun or not? But the biggest problem with the game is that it's just not as polished as the other Arkham games. I've run into several bugs and a couple of features that the game flat out told me I had access to that aren't there. When you complete the story mode for the first time, you unlock the New Game Plus mode, where you already have access to all of the gadgets and upgrades that you got in the regular story mode. Or so I thought. I started up the New Game Plus mode and I have all of the upgrades that I purchased in the single player mode, but I don't have any of the gadgets except for what you originally start the game off with. The remote claw, the glue grenade, the shot gloves. Apparently I need to re-unlock them by playing the story, even though the game explicitly says otherwise. And another thing, when I beat the game, I unlocked a new batsuit called Batman Noel. I can use alternate batsuits in the New Game Plus mode, but only if I go back to the Batcave to switch suits, so I have to stop whatever I'm doing for a detour and notify me about the nav point at the same time. The game hung up again. While I was capturing footage for this video, the game started loading a combat challenge map, and it never stopped loading it. And a friend of mine on DeviantArt said he had to start his game over because Deadshot fell through a staircase and never came back again, so he couldn't complete that side quest or leave the room. And you've probably heard that on the PC version, one of the Riddler's towers is physically impossible to access, which means you can't complete his side quest. And even though I'll give the game credit for trying to introduce boss fights that are actually boss fights into the game, the Bane boss fights pissed me off. Bane enters a Venom mode and he charges at you, and if you don't sidestep him, he turns and then charges you again, and you have about less than a second to dodge roll out of the way, or else he hits you again. And then he turns and he hits you again, and then he turns and he hits you again. And it's almost impossible to dodge roll out of the way if he hits you once. So you lose a crap ton of your health and there's nothing you can do about it. But pretty much